Hi, this is Julie and this is my presentation entitled Remediation of Print Culture from Oration to E-Readers. My presentation is based on J. David Bolter and Richard Grusin's book Remediation, which deals with the theory of remediation and their concepts of immediacy and hypermediacy, which basically discusses or I'm going to be concentrating actually on the print culture and how it has historically created such an atmosphere of authenticity that we do not question it, especially its materiality as constructed. First, I would like to give a brief historical background of print culture. Before any written texts, ancient Greeks practiced oratory rhetoric, giving speeches in public forums, but once the Greek alphabet came to be, we were off and running, much to Plato's disapproval. As we learned in George A. Kennedy's article, Classical Rhetoric and Its Christian and Secular Tradition from Ancient to Modern Times, Plato predicted that writing would encourage forgetfulness and that, like a painting, a writing could not argue back or defend itself in order to impart its true meaning. Then, around 1440, Gutenberg invented the printing press, which made it possible to print reading material for the masses, enabling the lower and middle classes to have access along with the upper classes and nobility. One big drawback to the printing press, however, is that any errors in printing were done on a mass scale, whereas in the days of scribes, only one copy was copied incorrectly. But obviously the pros far outweighed the cons, as according to Eisenstein's article, The Emergence of Print Culture in the West, printing encouraged new theories and new combinations of old ideas, which led to new systems of thoughts. In looking back at the printing press and the limitations of the technology, we can see that is where the standardization of print started. Paragraph indentations, word spacing, and font type and size were standardized because that is all the compositors had to work with. They had no choices like we have today. And since we humans abhor change so much and distrust new technology, the more likely we are to buy into something new if it has the look and feel of the old. But more of that in a few minutes. It took a while, but the typewriter was eventually invented, which allowed individuals to stop handwriting their own texts and type them instead, which soon gave way to what we use today, computers and printers. Although that previous slide was a brief historical view of print culture, it also listed examples of remediation. So what exactly is remediation? Well, according to Bolter and Grusin, it is, quote, that which appropriates the techniques, forms, and social significance of other media and attempt to rival or refashion them in the name of the real. And that's from page 65 of their book, Remediation, Understanding New Media. Basically, what Bolter and Grusin are saying is that remediation is taking a media that already exists and reproducing or recontextualizing it to make it better. For example, remediating a physical book into a Kindle or Nook, in order for remediated media to be successful, it must be authentic. Immediacy, or transparency, is an indicator of how authentic the new media is, how well it fools our brains into believing what we are experiencing is real. For example, printed books have flourished because they have successfully mimicked handwritten text. They didn't deviate from what readers were already used to seeing. Therefore, the transition, although different, was not too unpleasant. The same occurred when typewriters came to be followed by word processors with dot matrix printers, then inkjet printers, and now laserjet printers. A further example of immediacy in remediation is the font type we use when composing our text. So immediacy of remediation means any media that appears so normal that we don't even think about it being technology. The image on this slide to the right is a screenshot of a Kindle Fire HD. These are the books in the carousel and have the appearance of the true cover art and a page for a Kindle book. Notice the black print on white background, the font type and the size, the word spacing and the paragraph indentation, imitating a real book. If texts aren't authentic, they are opaque, what Bolter and Grusin consider hypermediacy. Ironically, if a text is opaque, one might say, I can see right through it, meaning that text doesn't fool me, it's not real. Today's technology causes text to be just as transparent as technology did 20 or 30 years ago. However, the technology of 20 or 30 years ago would be opaque today. Consider the image to the right. This is how computer screens appeared in 1985 before Windows started using the graphical user interface or desktop we're used to seeing today. If Best Buy attempted to sell you a computer today that operated like this one did in 1985, other than someone looking for a retro experience, no one would buy it because consumers are not going to buy what they don't find authentic. New technology is already viewed distrustfully. If it appears too fake, on top of that, it will fail. In summary, new texts rely on our acknowledgement and acceptance of features of older print texts, although we may not be cognizant of doing so. Without these standard features, new texts stand out too much, and we are more likely to be conscious of their materiality. Paradoxically, we tend to notice old textual features, which are the foundation of these new features, because they appear so dissimilar. Leave it to us humans to want nothing to change, but at the same time, when it does, we want it to be gradual but obvious, but not so we would notice. We are a strange creature indeed. Thank you.